All right, so today we're diving into something that might not sound super thrilling at first, but stick with me because it's all about protecting something pretty important, your home.
We're talking property insurance.
Yes, exactly. Property insurance here in Trinidad and Tobago.
And to help us navigate this world,
We're going to be looking
we've
at
got a great resource today.
an awesome booklet
It's called Protecting Your Shelter, Understanding Property Insurance.
put together by the ARI.
And it's from the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago.
Exactly, and it's packed with valuable information.
Really breaks things down
Yeah,
in a way that's easy to understand.
exactly. And the goal today isn't to turn you into an insurance whiz overnight,
No.
but to give you the knowledge you need to make smart decisions
Right.
about your coverage.
About protecting your home.
So are you ready to uncover some hidden gems and maybe even bust a few insurance myths?
Let's do it.
All right, let's jump right in. Okay, first up, master policies. Now, this is something that especially applies to homeowners with mortgages.
Right. So a master policy is basically like a blanket insurance coverage.
Oh,
That's arranged by your mortgage company
okay.
for all of their borrowers.
So instead of each homeowner individually going out and getting their own policy,
Exactly.
everyone is bundled under this master policy.
Yeah, it can be really convenient
Right.
because it streamlines the whole process.
I can imagine.
And sometimes you can even get lower premiums.
Oh, because the lender has that negotiating power.
Exactly. They've got the leverage.
Makes sense. But there's got to be a catch, right?
Well, there is a little bit of a trade-off.
Got it.
While it might seem easier on the surface,
Yeah.
you do give up a bit of control
Okay. In what way?
over the specific terms and coverage.
I see.
You're basically relying on the mortgage company
Yeah.
to have chosen a policy that actually fits your needs.
That's a good point.
So, don't be shy
Yeah.
about asking questions.
What should homeowners do if they're under a master policy?
You have the right to see the policy.
Okay.
Get a copy of it.
Review it.
Look it over, make sure you understand what is and isn't covered.
Right. And make sure it aligns with your needs and the value of your property.
Exactly. Knowledge is power, right?
Exactly. It's better to be in the know than to be caught off guard.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's move on to something that seems pretty straightforward, but can actually cause a lot of confusion, the difference between homeowners and householders insurance.
Right. A lot of people think it's the same thing,
Yeah.
but it's not.
So break it down for us.
Okay. Homeowner's insurance.
Yeah.
That covers the structure of your house.
Okay, the actual building.
The walls, the roof, the foundation. Think of it as insuring the building itself.
Got it. So what about all the stuff inside the house?
That's where householder's insurance comes in.
Okay.
It covers your belongings, all your stuff, furniture, appliances, electronics, clothing, everything.
So even if I'm renting a place, I still need householders insurance
Yes, absolutely.
to protect my own stuff.
It's about protecting what's yours, regardless of who owns the building.
Okay, that clears things up. Now let's talk about insured perils. The booklet lists all these events that are covered, but are there any that people are often surprised to find are included?
There are a few that stand out.
Okay, tell us more.
A lot of people are surprised to learn that damage from, riots, strikes, or even just malicious damage
Okay.
is first.
So if someone vandalizes my property,
Yeah.
or there's unrest and my home gets damaged,
Yeah, as long as the damage wasn't caused by someone who had a legal right to be on your property.
like a trespasser or something.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. You never know what could happen.
Right.
Are there any other perils that homeowners often misunderstand?
One that often trips people up is damage from falling trees.
Okay, so if a tree falls on my house, it's covered.
Well, it depends on what.
It's usually only covered if the tree fell because of a covered peril.
Oh, so like a windstorm.
Exactly.
So if a perfectly healthy tree just decides to fall on a calm day.
Yeah, in that case, you might not be covered. Okay, that's a good reminder to really understand the specifics of your coverage.
Absolutely. You can't always predict what Mother Nature will throw your way.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of unpredictable weather events, let's talk about flood coverage. Given where we live in Trinidad and Tobago, this is something that's top of mind for a lot of people.
It's definitely a concern.
So is flood coverage automatically included?
Not always.
Okay, so what should homeowners do?
If your property is in a flood-prone area,
Yeah.
your insurer might decline to offer you coverage,
Oh, wow.
or it might come with specific conditions or limitations.
So it's really important to be proactive and discuss flood coverage with your insurer.
Exact.
Understand the risks specific to your property. Don't just assume you're covered.
Right, and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Always ask questions.
Need clarification.
Better to be safe than sorry.
Especially when it comes to protecting your home.
All right, that's great advice. Now let's shift gears a bit and talk about something called the average clause. This is one of those things that can really catch homeowners off guard.
It's a bit of a hidden trap.
Okay, explain it to us.
Essentially, it penalizes you for underinsuring your property.
Underinsuring.
Yeah, most insurers require you to insure your property for at least 85%.
Good.
Sometimes 75% of its actual value.
So if I insure for less than that...
You won't be fully compensated for a claim.
Wait, so even if I'm paying my premiums and I have insurance,
Yeah.
I could still end up having to pay a big chunk of the repair costs myself.
That's the unfortunate reality of the average clause.
Okay, give us an example.
Okay. Let's say your house is worth $500,000,
Okay.
but you only insured it for $350,000.
Thinking I'm saving money on premium.
Exactly, but that means your sum insured is only 70% of the property's value.
Which is below that 85% threshold.
Right.
So what happens if I need to make a claim, let's say, for $40,000?
Because you're underinsured.
Yeah.
The insurance company will only pay a portion of that claim.
How do they calculate that?
They'll look at how much you did insure your home for,
Okay.
compared to its actual value, and pay out proportionally.
So I'll end up having to cover the difference.
Yes, unfortunately.
It could be a lot of money.
It could, and that's why it's so important to make sure your sum insured is keeping pace
Right.
with the real value of your property.
Regularly reassess and make sure you're adequately covered.
Exactly. You don't want any nasty surprises when you need to make a claim.
All right, good advice.
Oh.
Now let's talk about something a little more positive. What is reinstatement?
Okay, so reinstatement.
Yeah.
It's a condition in your policy where the insurer will cover the full cost
Okay.
of rebuilding or replacing your damaged property,
So even if my house is old, I could get a brand new one.
and without deducting for wear and tear.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing there are some catches.
Well, there are a few things to keep in mind.
Okay.
First, this usually only applies if you actually choose to rebuild or replace the property.
So if I opt for a cash settlement instead,
You'll get the depreciated value.
which might not be enough to rebuild.
Right.
Okay, so I need to think strategically about whether to rebuild or take the cash.
Exactly. Make the best choice for your situation.
And what's the second thing to keep in mind?
Reinstatement usually only applies if the property was fully insured in the first place.
Right, so if I was underinsured,
You might not get the full benefit.
okay, so understand the implications of reinstatement before making a claim.
Exactly. Informed decisions lead to the best outcomes.
All right, I love that. Now, are you ready to uncover some hidden treasure?
Always.
Let's talk about those notable extensions of cover.
Hmm.
What are we talking about here?
These are often overlooked, but they can be really helpful in specific situations.
Okay, give us some examples.
One example is coverage for temporary removal of contents.
Okay, what does that mean?
It means your policy might cover your belongings. Right.
If you're moving them to a new location,
All right.
or even just transporting them to a bank safe deposit box,
So if I'm moving valuable items and something happens during the move,
you might be covered.
that's a relief. And what about travel?
A lot of policies actually include coverage for lost luggage
No way!
during private travel within the Caribbean.
Oh, that's awesome.
Up to a certain limit, of course.
So it's not a replacement for travel insurance.
Right.
But it's a nice little bonus.
It is.
Okay. I'm officially intrigued. These notable extensions, they vary depending on the insurer and the policy,
They do?
but they're definitely worth exploring.
Absolutely.
All right, this has been eye-opening. I feel like we've just scratched the surface.
We have.
But I'm already feeling much more equipped to navigate this whole world of property insurance.
That's great to hear.
Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us today.
My pleasure.
We've covered a lot of ground, but there's still more to explore.
Definitely.
So we'll be back soon to dive even deeper into protecting your shelter. I can't wait.
Stay tuned, everybody.
See you soon.
Bye for now. Welcome back to our deep dive into property insurance.
We're ready to uncover more.
We've laid the groundwork with master policies, explored the world of insured perils, and even discovered some of those hidden gems in the notable extensions.
There's a lot to unpack.
But there's one area I want to dig into a bit deeper.
Okay.
Householders insurance.
Yes.
It's easy to get it confused with homeowners insurance.
It is.
So let's break down what exactly it covers.
All right, so remember, householders insurance is specifically about protecting the contents of your home,
Okay,
not the physical building itself.
got it.
Think of it as insurance for everything you would pack up
Okay,
and
yeah.
take with you if you moved.
So furniture, appliances, electronics, clothing.
Exactly, all of that.
All those things are covered under householders
And
insurance.
more.
Okay, like what else?
We're talking about everything.
Yeah.
From your clothes and books
Okay.
to your kitchenware, and even things you might be renting, like a TV or a sound system.
So even if I'm renting a fully furnished apartment,
Yes.
I still need householders insurance to
Absolutely.
protect my own stuff.
It doesn't matter who owns the building.
Okay.
Householders insurance is about protecting your belongings.
Got it.
Whether you own the place or you're just renting.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Now, I remember we talked about those insured perils,
Right.
those specific events that are covered by the insurance.
Yes.
Do the same perils that apply to homeowners insurance
They do.
also apply to householders insurance?
For the most part, yes.
So things like fire theft, windstorms,
Uh-huh.
even those less common ones like riots and malicious damage,
Those two.
those apply to both the building itself
Correct.
and all the stuff inside.
Exactly. It's like having double protection.
Okay, now this might sound like a really basic question,
No such thing.
but how do I determine the right sum insured for my belongings?
Ah, that's a great question.
It feels overwhelming to try and put a value on everything I own.
I know it can feel daunting,
It does.
but the key is to create a detailed inventory.
Okay, an inventory of all my stuff?
Yes, go room by room.
Right.
Make a list of every single item
Oh,
and
well.
estimate its replacement value.
So if something happens, I have a record of everything.
Exactly. No more trying to remember every little thing you had and how much it was worth.
That makes sense. But that still sounds like a lot of work.
It does take some effort up front,
Yeah.
but trust me, it's worth it.
Okay.
Think of it as an investment in your peace of mind.
Okay, fair enough. Now, speaking of valuing stuff,
Yes,
is there anything special I need to consider when it comes to high-value items?
like jewelry or artwork.
Exactly, those kinds of things.
Yes, good point.
Do I need to insure those differently?
It's important to remember that insurance companies often have a limit on the amount they'll pay
Oh.
for individual items.
So there's a cap,
It's usually around 5%
5%
of your total sum insured.
for all my belongings.
Exactly.
Okay, so if I have a really expensive piece of jewelry,
Yeah.
that's worth more than that 5% limit.
You need to make sure it's specifically declared to the insurer.
Okay, so they can assess it and make sure it's properly covered.
Exactly. You don't want to be caught out by that 5% limit when you need to make a claim.
Okay, great advice.
Yeah.
Now, remember we talked about those notable extensions?
Those hidden gems.
Exactly.
Mm.
Are there any that are particularly relevant to householders insurance?
You know, there are a few that come to mind.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, remember that coverage for temporary removal of contents,
Yeah.
that applies to householders insurance as well.
So even when I'm moving my stuff,
Yes.
I'm still covered.
If you're moving to a new home,
Okay.
or even just taking things to storage or a bank-safe deposit box,
Okay.
you might be covered during that transit.
So if something happens to my stuff while I'm moving,
You've got that extra layer of protection?
it's a good feeling.
It is.
Yeah.
And here's another one that's particularly relevant. Okay.
For people who have domestic help,
Okay.
some policies actually offer coverage for servants' contents.
Servants' contents.
Yeah, so if you have a live-in helper
Yeah.
whose belongings are kept at your property,
Okay.
this could be a really valuable addition.
That's something I hadn't even considered. It's amazing all these different scenarios that are covered.
It is, right?
Are there any other interesting extensions we should know about?
Well, a couple more that are worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Some policies actually provide coverage for alternative accommodation.
What does that mean?
So if your home becomes uninhabitable
Okay.
due to a covered peril,
Like a fire,
exactly,
and I can't live there.
your insurance might actually help cover the cost of a hotel
Wow.
or a temporary rental
That would be a huge relief.
while repairs are being done.
It's not just about replacing stuff.
No,
It's about having a place to stay.
it's about maintaining your lifestyle.
Exactly.
Right.
All right. Any other extensions?
One more
Okay.
that's worth highlighting.
What is it? Some policies actually offer
Yeah.
a limited amount of compensation
Okay.
for death,
Oh, wow.
resulting from certain covered perils.
That's a bit morbid.
It is not something anyone wants to think about,
No.
but it is an added layer of protection
Right.
that can provide some financial assistance
Okay.
to your loved ones
Yeah.
in a worst-case scenario.
Okay. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Householders insurance could be so comprehensive.
It's more than just replacing your furniture and appliances.
It really is.
Yeah,
It's about protecting your belongings,
Yeah.
your lifestyle, your peace of mind.
that's a great way to put it. Now, before we move on,
Yeah.
let's just recap some key takeaways.
Sounds good. What are the essential points we want our listeners to remember?
Okay, first and foremost,
Yeah.
don't assume that just because you have homeowners insurance that
Yeah.
you're automatically covered for your stuff.
Right.
Householders insurance
Yeah.
is a separate policy
Okay.
that provides specific protection for your belongings.
And it's not just for homeowners.
Mhm.
Renters need it too.
Absolutely.
Okay, what else?
Second, take the time to create that detailed inventory
Yeah.
of your belongings
Okay.
and estimate their replacement value.
Right.
This will help you avoid any surprises.
Right, like the average clause.
Exactly. And don't forget
Yeah.
to declare those high-value items separately
Correct.
to make sure they're adequately covered.
Okay, good tips. And finally,
Yeah.
explore those notable extensions.
Those hidden gems.
You never know what valuable protection you might discover.
Exactly.
This has been so insightful.
I'm glad.
I'm starting to realize that property insurance,
Yeah.
especially this householder's insurance,
Right.
is more nuanced than I initially thought.
There's definitely a lot to it.
But understanding those nuances is key
It is.
to making sure we have the right coverage.
Absolutely.
All right, well said.
Thank you.
We'll be back soon for the final part of our deep dive,
Looking forward to it.
where we'll explore some practical tips to make sure your property insurance really provides that peace of mind.
Sounds great.
All right, welcome back for the final part of our deep dive into property insurance.
We're in the home stretch.
We've demystified those master policies, tackled those tricky insured perils, and even unearthed some of those valuable, notable extensions that can really make a difference.
We've given you the knowledge, and now it's all about putting it into action.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what are some practical steps that our listeners can take today to make sure their property insurance is truly working for them?
The first thing, and I know this might sound obvious,
Okay.
but actually review your policy.
Don't just let it sit in a drawer gathering dust.
Exactly. Take some time to actually read through it carefully.
Yeah.
Highlight anything that you don't understand.
Right.
And don't hesitate to reach out to your insurer
Yeah.
to get clarification.
Because it's amazing how many people have no idea what their policy actually covers.
It's like having a treasure map,
Oh, I like that.
but never actually bothering to look for the buried treasure.
Yeah, you got to know the terrain.
Exactly. So step one, review that policy.
All right, step one done. What's next?
Now, remember that detailed inventory
Of all my belongings.
we talked about?
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of work.
I know it can seem daunting,
It does.
but trust me, it's worth the effort.
Okay.
So go room by room, document every item.
Every single thing.
Ideally, take photos or videos as well.
Well, that's a good idea. So you have a visual record.
Exactly, because if something happens,
Yeah.
you don't want to be trying to remember everything you owned and how much it was worth.
And we could use technology to help us with this, right?
Absolutely. There are some great apps and websites out there
Okay.
that are designed specifically for creating and storing home inventories.
So it's not just a pen and paper exercise anymore.
Not at all. You can upload photos, receipts, valuations all in one place.
Okay, very cool. Now, speaking of valuations,
Yeah.
what about those high-value items like jewelry, artwork, antiques?
Those are definitely things you want to pay special attention to.
Okay. Because I know there are limits on how much insurance will pay out for individual items.
Right. And that's why it's so important to get a professional evaluation
Okay.
for those items.
Okay, so get an expert to come in and assess them.
Exactly. And then declare them specifically to your insurer.
Okay, so we're not limited by that 5% cap.
Right. You want to make sure those valuable items are fully protected.
Okay, good to know.
No.
So we've reviewed our policy, created that detailed inventory, and got those high-value items properly valued.
Yeah.
What else should we be thinking about?
Okay. So another important point to remember
Okay.
is that the value of your property and its contents can change over time.
Yeah, things appreciate and appreciate.
Exactly. So make sure you're reassessing your sum insured regularly,
How often are we talking?
at least once a year.
Once a year. Okay, so it's not a set and forget a situation.
No, you want to make sure your coverage is keeping pace with the real value of your property.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, I know a lot of people worry about those insurance premiums.
Yeah, that can be a bit daunting.
Any tips for managing those costs?
Well, first of all, don't be afraid to shop around.
Compare different insurers.
Exactly. You might find a better deal out there
Okay.
that can save you some money without compromising on coverage.
All right, and what about those discounts?
Oh, yeah. Good point.
I know some insurers offer discounts for things like security systems or if you bundle multiple policies.
Exactly. Those can really add up.
Okay, so always ask about those discounts.
Definitely. It never hurts to ask.
All right, so before we wrap up this deep dive,
Yes.
I have to ask, what is the biggest mistake you see homeowners making when it comes to property insurance?
You know, the most common mistake I see is people assuming
Assuming what?
That they understand their coverage
Okay.
without actually taking the time to read the policy.
Right, they just glance at it and file it away?
Exactly. And I know it can be tempting.
Oh, yeah. All that legal jargon.
It can be pretty dry.
But it's important.
Those details matter.
Yeah.
They outline what's covered,
Yeah.
what's excluded, what your responsibilities are as a policyholder.
So read the fine print, folks.
Exactly.
It's not just there to make your eyes glaze over.
It could actually save you a lot of money and heartache down the line.
All right, well said.
Ooh.
Any final words of wisdom as we bring this deep dive to a close?
Well, when it comes to protecting your home,
Yeah.
knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
So equip yourself with information.
Yes.
Ask questions. Don't be afraid to challenge assumptions.
Right.
And advocate for yourself.
Yeah.
It's your home, your investment.
And your peace of mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So take control.
I love it. Well, we've covered so much ground in this deep dive.
We have.
From master policies to notable extensions.
Right.
From creating home inventories to understanding those insured perils.
It's been a journey.
It has. We hope you feel empowered to take control of your property insurance.
And make sure it's really working for you.
Exactly. Because it's not just about having insurance.
No, it's not.
It's about having the right insurance.
And understanding how to use it.
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into property insurance in Trinidad and Tobago.
It's been my pleasure.
We hope you found it informative and, dare I say, maybe even a little bit enjoyable.
I hope so too.
Stay curious, stay informed, and stay protected.